How are you, Ashley? Since you're larger than life.
Good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks. For a working man. Independent wealth would suit me well, but unfortunately, it's just not there yet. We're slow.
We're here.
Slow
There's just a few of us, so we're all watching you from the corner office.
Oh, very nice. Well,
You've got Jordan. You've got Melissa. We'll all wave.
actually, I'm just going to wave at you, the live person, which is just around the corner. Yeah. All right, we got Brian coming on today. Brian Icenhower, who's phenomenal. I'm excited. I didn't realize he's like, I always talk about him as being one of the top coaches in the US, but he was like Inman's keynote speaker at their last conference. Did you know that? I mean, that's how big this guy is. I had no idea he had that much, I don't know what we call it, clout in the industry. I mean, I've known him for a long time. He's been selling real estate a long time. He comes from a long lineage of real estate brokers and developers, but the fact that his coaching program has reached that far into the business itself of coaching, because you think of you got the Mike Ferries, you got the Ferries and the Buffinis. I mean, who else do you think of as coaching? That's the only two people I think of. Right? Matt's coaching has a huge reach. Well, they've got a captive audience, so they're going to have a pretty large, data pool to pull from. But Brian ends up being like the second top real estate coaching company in the U.S. for agents, productions, all kinds of stuff. So I'm super stoked that he's a friend and he lives in Morro Bay, and we've got the opportunity to have him on retainer, which is great. By retainer, we just pay him to coach us. I get a couple more minutes and then we'll get the game started. We've got the typical realtor time, 5 minutes after the hour. All right, gang. Okay, well, hang on. Let's just jump into it as people are starting to file in. We won't belay. Let's talk about the quote of the day, which is, our dedication to our businesses. And that if you dedicate yourself to a core set of values, if you don't do that, you'll never be able to find personal fulfillment and you'll never be able to lead effectively. And let's make no mistake about it, whether you're an Ashley Boyer or an Abel Contreras, a Dick Keenan, or Chris Cucchiera, or Jason Mendoza, who's a standalone agent. Like these, no matter what you do in this business, you are a leader. And if you don't see yourself as a leader, you need to really take a step back and look at what you do, right? We help buyers and sellers get into homes, but it's not something that they are innately tuned to because they have a profession, they have life experiences and aren't exactly like ours. And so we're leading them down a path of success, right? We are literally their Obi-Wan Kenobi and they are the Luke Skywalker in the story, but we are leading them down that path. So leadership isn't all about, having a big team or leading a group of other humans. Know that you're in a leadership role as a standalone agent because you're leading people to a success path. So leadership is totally acceptable and actually expected in every role that you have as a real estate professional. And I'll address, I kind of want to go back to, so now that we all know we're leaders, going back to having a core set of values. I heard it stated once that if you don't have if you don't stand for the things that you believe in, then you stand for nothing. So know what your core values, be able to articulate your value proposition. What is your mission? What is your vision? And what are your values? And so having those in place gives you some direction in life, because this is a really kind of a wild industry, isn't it? Like you show up every day, you don't show up every day, the net result is going to be one or the other, but there's no really holding your feet to the fire. One of the great, that's why you're an entrepreneur, right? You became a real estate professional. You got your license to be a real estate person because you want to be your own boss. And yet, if you're not showing up to do the work, who's going to do it? If not me, then who? So having that set core values, having that like mission, vision, value, belief system in place will give you the opportunity to not have to think about it every day. You just look at it every day and go, oh yeah, that's right. I remember why I'm doing this. And then get to the task at hand. So a very lengthy quote today, but I think it's very pointed, especially in an environment where it feels like we're going to war every day, trying to get buyers into homes, trying to get listings, put them on the market, everything's so tight. So know what your core values are and adhere to them. I'll tell you one thing I have realized and recognized over the past 25 years of being in this business is that when markets get tight, people start acting outside of their core values. because they're coming from a principle of fear. Stay true to what you believe in and know that you're leading people to success, and you'll come out on top and gain the market share that you never have to get back. All right, that's the quote for the day. I hope it sunk in. a lot of talk there. All right, let's get on to some firsts here. Nicole Harris, first escrow, way to go. Congratulations, Nicole. She's only been licensed a few months and even fewer with us. So getting in and after it. Love to see what you're capable of there, Nicole. Great job. Look forward to seeing many more from you. Want to thank and congratulate Open Escrows last week from Nicole. Thank you very much. And the Keenan Carter Group. Dick and Narlene are actually hiking some kind of crazy 100-mile trail right now and still working from the road. I got a text from Narlene yesterday. So traveling through Spain on some ancient trail, still working. Escrow's closed. We want to congratulate Jeff Landon and Bailey Pewter, Nancy Pewter, and Abel Contreras. Thank you guys for supporting your local escrow company, who is always here for you. Sarah and Bailey, Sarah D, and Sarah, and then Beverly Stickler, always doing everything they can to help you guys. So thanks, and we look forward to seeing more to close in the future. All right, now these are the ones I love, cappers. These individuals are now earning 100% of their commission. Congratulations, Paul Swack, you're earning 100% of your commission. Kathy Fasori, no longer paying company dollar for the rest of her fiscal year. Congratulations, Kathy. There's a couple more, I think. We've got Travis Avila. Congratulations, Travis, for capping. And one more, I think, on the list. Nope, that was it. So, Travis, you're the anchor of the cappers today. If you don't know what capping means because you've never been there, seek one of these folks out, because capping is earning 100% of your commission. All you got to do is reach that threshold, and then you get to change the split. Because basically, if you sell, if you're on a 70-30 split, you sell $3 million worth of property, you cap. You sell another 3 at 0%, you're really on an 85-15 split, because half your money came in with no company dollar. So it's a great opportunity and gift. If you need help getting there, reach out to the team, the leadership team, or those that have capped, and ask them how they did it. All right, I want to talk about culture, 52 points of culture. Today, I want to focus on something that already happened, was participating in Red Day, because we had a lot of people that showed up to Red Day. Red Day is the one day a year where Keller Williams kind of puts all of their business activity on hold and gives back to their community. We had an incredibly successful Red Day, lots of blood given to those in need. And why am I bringing that up today? Because it's one day of the year. I've got an example for you. You say you've been married for 10 years, and there's one day out of the year where you recognize that marriage in the form of an anniversary. That's the only day you guys do anything together as a couple. Is that relationship going to sustain? No. Probably not. No, the culture of Keller Williams is something that's embedded into each and every one of us. It's embedded in the company itself. And Red Day is a day for us to give back, kind of put a pause on it, but it also is a day to remind each and every one of us that we can do small acts of kindness every day in our community, within our families, within our peer groups, and change the trajectory of someone's day, a potential life. So know that you've got the power to change lives, and that Red Day is a day for us to give back. Keep Red Day in your heart and mind, so throughout the year, you've got the opportunity to be that person for somebody else. So 52 points of culture today. We talked a little bit about Red Day, but then taking that Red Day concept to your daily life and have that gratitude. And it was Mo Anderson who really conceptualized Red Day. It was a celebration of her birthday. That's why the company does it on the day that we do. It's that day right around her birthday. This year, I think it landed on her birthday. One of the things I love about one of the stories I love about Mo Anderson, she had a cup of pencils on her desk, 10 pencils. And then on the other side of the desk was an empty cup. And she would take a pencil from the full cup and move it over to the empty cup only when she showed gratitude or gave someone else praise. And so she didn't leave her desk until she had emptied the cup on the left to the right, complimenting, showing gratitude, and giving grace to others. So talk about somebody who's dedicated to making sure that those things happen in her life. And you look at someone who came from a sharecropper's daughter to being the CEO of one of the largest real estate companies on earth. It's quite impressive. And a lot of that has to do with, I bank on it, being gracious, being kind, being courteous, being and sharing that with others. So you have the opportunity to change the trajectory of any human's life by one phrase. Words are powerful. And so don't let Red Day be one day in your life. Let it continue and kind of be a focal point for parts of your day, so that, and I'll tell you what, it feels good to give. feels good.
And Jay, you know what she says about hugs?
Yeah. That's some people have issues with. She says if you don't give 10 hugs a day, you start to get weird, something like that.
Yes.
Yeah,
You need 10 hugs a day, or else you get weird. So I know COVID has kind of taken away some of our hugging, but hug people that you feel safe hugging, and hug 10 times a day.
So Sharecropper's daughter, she's probably got 11 siblings.
Most likely. I know she has 11 grandkids at least.
Hugs are good. Hugs are communicative. Troy, CB, you guys with us?
Oh, yeah, we are. Hey, Jay.
I'm going to stop share for a second so you guys are on screen. Thank you, Ashley, for that Zoom etiquette. What's happening, CB, in the wide world of brokerage? Troy, you there too? I'm in the corner.
He's right here. I'm right here. Nobody puts baby in the corner.
No.
Yeah. Nobody. What do we want to
So,
talk about?
guys, tell us what's new. Give us a moment.
What's new? What's new? We have some common misconceptions, by the way, on the contract that, we really want you guys coming to our contracts training classes, okay? Or go back into meggersgroup.com and watch them, or do both, which would be even better. But, some of the common misconceptions on disclosures even. Bob Sigmuth covers disclosures once a month. Please know what the disclosures say. I don't like to hear back from other people that our agents are saying that they don't understand what the disclosures are or what they mean. You've got the opportunity to go out there and watch someone who's done lots of disclosures. Bob Sigmuth, like I said, covers the disclosures every month. So please know what that means. We always start our contracts class with the purpose of a contract is to find common ground. More important than the contract is what both parties, agree the contract means. Okay, so that's where we typically have our disputes, is when one person reads the contract one way and one person reads the contract another way. For instance, every contract is as is. Okay, are we explaining to our sellers that as is doesn't mean that the buyer isn't allowed to do inspections, isn't allowed to ask for repairs? Okay, as is means that until the buyer does their inspections, it's as it is presented in this condition. But obviously a buyer can't know everything about a property until they do their inspections and review the disclosures.
I'd like to kind of pick up on something that Jay was talking about our culture, and feel free to share our culture in the way that you deal with other agents in the transaction. Okay, if you've been coming to our contracts classes and you've been learning a lot of stuff that maybe you didn't know or you hadn't looked at it in that way before, and you're starting to implement those things, don't come from a place of like, I know this and I'm right and you're wrong. Don't come from that place when you're dealing with an agent that may not have that same training. Come from a place of, hey, I just wanted to point out to you that, this is my understanding. And if you look at this part of the contract, you'll see that this is what it says. Feel free to check into it yourself, but I just wanted to help you out with that. If you come from a place of being positive in your interactions with the other agents, they will, you can actually change your entire, the entire way that your MLS does business. And one little step at a time, one little bit of kindness and graciousness, like Jay was talking about, and you can make your entire life a little bit more pleasant because everybody is a little bit more, agreeable, a little bit more agreeable in the negotiation process.
And less combative.
Right.
And remember that texting, anytime I get a text from someone and I can tell from the text that they are upset, whether it's a client of mine or another broker or an agent, regardless of who it is, when they come through with a very hostile or aggressive text, I immediately call them, okay? Call, communicate with the other agents. That's so important. Remember that a text, anything can be read different ways, right? Okay, I didn't tell Bob that. Okay, that you typed it out. I didn't tell Bob that. Okay, but they read it. I didn't tell Bob that. Or did they read it? I didn't tell Bob that. Or did they read it? I didn't tell Bob that. Okay, in other words, there's different ways to read the text. If you get a text that's very hostile, call the other agent and just say, whoa, 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 you know, what's going on here? You know, and come to some common ground. For instance, you know, we got a very aggressive agent sending us a demand to remove contingencies, and we were almost to that point, you know, and so I called the other agent and I said, you know, we got your demand. Yeah, you guys need to sign that. Let me ask you, why is it so urgent for you to have us sign that right now when we're almost about, you know, we're just about, we should have the appraisal back today, and we'll be getting you our request for repairs. Well, it's the timeline. Oh, okay. Well, you know, it's not a breach of contract if you give us a little bit more time to do it. Just oftentimes when somebody is that aggressive, this me talking to the other agent, is that forward with, you know, making sure we stick to it, is because they have a backup offer that's better than ours. Do you guys have another offer? And are you hoping we get out of the way? Oh, no, not at all. The sellers are super happy with it. Oh, okay. Okay, well, would you let them know that we'll be willing to, by the end of the week, remove the contingencies once we receive back a response on our request for repair? Oh, yeah, that's no problem. Okay, instead of ignoring it and letting it grow, you just immediately, you know, hey, you get a text that's, hey, are you guys going to sign that, you know, contingency removal form? Just call that other agent and just be like, whoa, you know, how are we doing? You know, where are we on this? Okay, so communication is key, and keeping those lines of communication open. The longer we, by the way, put off these things, right? The worse they get, actually, and then all of a sudden people start assuming things that aren't actually the case.
Yeah, I've never had a client call the broker to talk about their agent. I've never had a client call and be upset with an outcome or something that had happened in the transaction. But I've received many phone calls from clients that are upset if they don't hear from their agent. If they don't hear from their agent for 3-4 days, or they tried to get a hold of them and the agent didn't respond, it's not being not communicating is probably the single biggest complaint that we get about real estate agents. So don't be that agent.
Don't be that agent. All right, guys.
And know that, to Troy's point, the words we use are only 10% of how we communicate.
Right.
Let that sink in. 10% of what we're trying to express, only 10% of it are the words that we use. What's the rest of it? Tonality. You can't get tonality into a text. Body language, you can't get body language in a text unless you got the crazy emojis, right?
Yeah.
But know that 10%. So if you can get a sit down, if you can in front of someone, you've got a better chance of communicating with them in the way that you want to communicate. At the very least, pick up the phone. Let that tonality do a lot of heavy lifting for you.
Right.
Thanks guys for being here. We really appreciate you. I know that you just ended your team meeting and it ends up being a longer day for you, but I really appreciate your time. Hey,
what do you mean this is our team meeting? This is our team meeting.
There you go. Thank you.
All right.
Love it. I only just spoke. 10%, guys. There's only 10%. You can feel the love in my voice. You can see the gratitude in my facial expression. There's only 10% of what I was trying to communicate.
There you go.
All right, guys. Thanks so much.
All right, guys. Go fight Sal.
Go fight Sal. All right. Up next, we've got the contracts kung fu. So you guys that are on the team meeting, a lot of you know this, but those that don't, this is a power course, man. At 1 o'clock on Thursdays, there'll be an access for a QR code if you don't have the calendar. But it's brilliant. Like Troy had said, it's great to watch it. because when you're live, you get to ask questions. So if you're watching a recorded video, somebody might not ask the question that you have. So show up to the class. 90% of the questions you're ever going to have about a contract are going to be answered in the classes. So, if you're in the listing presentation or you're signing a contract, it's 9 o'clock at night, like Troy's phone's off, mine's off. See, well, I don't even have service at home. There's not going to be anybody there to help you. That wisdom and knowledge can be acquired through attending courses. So take the class. It's an hour of your day, and it's not if you've never taken one of Troy or CB's or Bob's classes, it's not like a box number 5. Check this if you'd like. It's like it really is integrated into what we're doing in the form of our businesses. This is why we use this form. This is how we use this form to best represent our client. It's a really educational course. It's like taking taking a class in contract law from the ground up without having to pay for the formal education to get a legal degree. So it's a powerful course. I suggest everybody take it. I'm taking them. That tells you something. All right, Beach Bonfire. The second annual Beach Bonfire is Friday, July 15th. Make sure you put it in your calendar. This was the funnest event we did all year last year, and we're looking forward to even being bigger and better this year. We've got the s'mores and hot dogs. We'll have drinks, games. It's family fun. There'll be music. If Ben's there, there'll be a full DJ setup thing looking like. We'll have tightrope between trucks. It's so much fun. Just come on down. Volleyball. We've got giant Jenga that's going to be there. It was really blessed. Just dogs. It's a typical summer fest. So you've got hot dogs and sodas. And it'll be fun. So if you can put it in your calendar, if you've got the availability, it's 6 to 8. It's right as soon as you get to the beach at the end of Grand Avenue, we'll be right there. So we'll have it all set up, a couple of bonfires, super fun. You're going to be bummed if you miss it. I guarantee it. All right, so that's the 15th. Greg, what do we have coming up in our education calendar? What do we have for training coming up?
Hello. So we have a class today at 2:30, and I'm going to show you how to create a social media post on command so that we can post on Facebook. And we're going to be attracting buyers, and that'll be today at 2:30. So please join me, and it'll be from 2:30 to 4 o'clock. And
Awesome. Okay.
Make sure you come prepared for that. Next, we have our new to KW orientation. So if you've just joined Keller Williams, it's not necessarily new to real estate, but new to Keller Williams. I will go over for 2 hours on a brief overview of what Command is all about, plus all of our platforms and everything that is KW and what is offered to you. Then we have our training, Contracts Kung Fu. As Jay was just mentioning, our residential listing agreement will be the topic this week with CB Thompson at 1 o'clock. So you don't even have to register for this class. Just go ahead and go directly to contractskungfu.com. And then on Friday morning, we start off the day with our market update with Jim Talbot. Let's get the current status of what we're in the market right now from Keller Williams International's point of view at 10 o'clock. And then at 1 o'clock, Candace will be showing you how to post and market your listing, your active listing on Facebook using Command. And that'll be this Friday at 1 o'clock. And then we have Dawn and Martin giving our mortgage update this coming Wednesday, June 1st. And that'll be at 11 o'clock. And then last but not least, go ahead and take out your phones and please scan the QR code because we need to know if you will be attending in person or via Zoom, because we have Brad and Tyler from Key Termite. They will be actually providing lunch for us for in person. We earn commissions to fund our lives, but we invest in real estate to build our wealth with Owen and Camille, your very own. And this is from 11 to 12, and this is going to be a week from this Friday. It's June 3rd, so mark your calendars from 11 to 12 o'clock. And then at 12 o'clock, we will have lunch provided for those who attend and register. So please scan the QR code, register now so we can get a good idea of who's going to be showing up. And let's see how they have accomplished their goals on investing in real estate. And that'll be next Friday.
Greg, before we jump on, I want to share something. One of the things that I do every year is once a quarter, I take somebody I know to be incredibly successful, personally, spiritually, economically. It's interesting because a lot of times the other two goals of their spiritual connection or their personal growth and development came because they had financial freedom. And a lot of times the conversation, I always ask them, so how did you become so economically sound that you could do these other things? And they talk a little bit about their job. I did this, or I had this position with this company. I worked to pay for, just like this statement, they had a job to fund their life, but their wealth, their total overall net worth was really created by the real estate that they own. So this is no joke. If you want to work for a living for the rest of your life, real estate's an awesome vehicle to do that. If you want to build wealth for not only yourself, but your lineage, your children, your grandchildren, owning real estate and investing in real estate is the fastest and most comprehensive track to get there. So I'm encouraging everyone to dial in, even if you're thinking, geez, I just got licensed, Jay. I'm just trying to make sure I can cover my bills, or I've got a part-time job and I'm doing real estate on the side. This is a class you don't want to miss from two young adults who have gone from they were college graduates. They had jobs. They got into real estate. They became independent contractors. They became entrepreneurs, and now they're investors that have done some incredible things, so that they're now capable of having children and not worried about having someone stay home with the child if that's what they want to do, because they've got the economic freedom to be able to do that because of their real estate investments. So these guys are a living testimony, not someone who's giving you something out of a textbook. I encourage everyone to show up.
Absolutely.
And
And then you can skip the next slide. Don't worry about that slide. Go ahead and go to the next one.
Okay.
And just so everybody knows that next Tuesday, Brian Icenhower, our topic will be negotiation blueprint and then how to haggle, and that'll be May 31st. And so that'll be next Tuesday. You can always go to kwcalendar340.com to get all of our event information. And if there's ever any update whatsoever, whether it be rescheduled, a cancellation, or an added event that we weren't able to talk about in our meeting, you'll find it there at kwcalendar340.com. Thank you so much, Jay.
All right. Thanks, Greg. We appreciate you. As always,
Appreciate
you're an
you.
amazing asset to the team. Amazing
Thank you.
asset.
Oh, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet. Okay, I know Brian Icenhower is actually our guest speaker today, so we'll jump back up there. But before he comes on, Martin, are you out there? You got a mortgage update for us?
I am actually out there.
I know I saw Martin, so I'm gonna stop sharing for a minute so Martin can come on and tell us what's happening in the wide world of mortgages.
Really appreciate it. Thank you, Jay. So actually, great news. We've actually seen interest rates come down a little bit for the first time in a while. So when I was on the Keller Williams Zoom meeting yesterday at 9 o'clock for the OHI meeting, I had a quote 5.25%. By 11 o'clock in the morning for the second Ventura County meeting, it actually dropped to 5.125%, which is where we're at today. So we're actually seeing interest rates subsiding a little bit, which is kind of nice. We're now down in the low 5% range instead of in the mid 5% range. So anything is better, but we're still in the fives for the conventional loans. FHA and VA are at 4.625%. So that is still great. And even jumbo money is sitting at about 5.125%. So we're starting to see a little bit of a decline with those interest rates. So it's incredible and nice to see for a change. And I do have one quick topic, as I mentioned VA interest rates just a second ago. With regard to VA transactions, it is so important to know, especially with how competitive offers are being made right now, and everybody's trying to waive everything from the purchase contract. VA transactions require termite. That is so important. I saw 2 transactions this last week where they came across my desk. Buyers decided to make a change with whom they wanted to go with for financing, and they wanted to utilize Motif Mortgage. So when I finally got the purchase contract, noticed on both of them that there were no termite requests. So when I go back to the agents, and more importantly, the listing agent and the seller, letting everybody know that we now need termite, now there's something that may be renegotiated somewhere down the line in terms of who's going to be taking care of it all. So please, please remember VA transactions. I do a lot of them here in Ventura County, and they do require those termites. So if you have any questions about any of that, please do not hesitate to give me a call. As always, I'm here to help in any way that I can. So thank you so much.
Thanks, Martin. With regards to termite, and here's a question I'll throw out to all the listing agents out there. You can raise your hand in the chat. How many of you do have your inspections done prior to even putting the property on the market? I mean, what a power tool to have all those in hand so that there's nothing to come back and negotiate against later. I know that there's a tactic. Some agents that are representing buyers will give you a full price offer. And if they don't have those reports, they come down and they hammer, now you're in contract, they'll hammer the seller on making the, the alterations, corrections, or fixes to things. And that's how they get the price that they wanted in the first place. Like the prices on the properties on the market for 800 grand, we're going to offer 850, but then we're going to beat you up for $60,000 worth of work that we want you to do prior to the close, which is turning into a credit. And they just close, they get the price they want, and they, do or do not make the improvements that they put over the request for. But if you've got all of those documents in place, so you've got the pest inspection, home inspection, whatever else might be required, you've got all that for anybody that's going to make an offer, then their offer will include those. So you can put those directly in the MLS. So in any case, is there anybody that has a different view that's working that's out there today? Ashley, I know you have a lot of listings. Anybody else have a different concept or thought, taking a different tact, and for what reason? No one?
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry, Jay. Can you repeat the question? Because I was momentarily distracted.
Got it. No, I was just asking, somebody who in the experience of taking listings, do you have all your home inspections done up front prior to putting the property on the market?
No, but I'm getting more and more inclined to do so for two reasons. One is because it presets expectations on both sides and
Sure.
gets that piece out of the way, and hopefully gets contingencies removed quicker. And of course, in the competitive market, that's always handy. But also because unfortunately there are not many, but one or two inspectors that I really just don't think do right by either side. And I would rather try to get ahead of that and not allow that person to be in our negotiations. I try to use a home inspector that's well respected by most agents so that they don't feel like they have to go out and get their own. But there's at least one inspector out there, I won't name names, that I feel like has a goal, shall we say, of derailing a transaction versus how a home inspection should be, which is that you're really doing a home inspection to get a guidebook to your property. You're not buying a new home in many respects. You're buying a resale home, and you don't get all of those great guides and manuals that you get with a new home. This is your guide and manual to your home. And yes, they may uncover a couple of concerns, but it's not meant to derail or allow the buyer to renegotiate a huge chunk off the price. That's not what its intention is for. And I just feel like there is maybe one or two inspectors out there that it's almost kind of like a fun game to see if they can blow up a deal. And I really just like to control that as much as I can. So I am leaning towards doing that as often as I can in the situations where people can understand my point of view, and they're okay with that expense. Because of course it transfers the expense from the buyer to the seller, right? So.
Okay, cool. Thank you, Ashley, for the perspective. We appreciate you jumping on.
And sorry, I didn't mean to have my video off. I was talking at you through my cover shot.
All right. Okay, Ashley, thanks again. Brian Icenhower, one of the nation's top real estate coaches, is joining us today. Brian, welcome.
Hey guys, how we doing? Hey Jay.
Doing great, man.
Good to see you. Good to see
Great
you. Thanks for
day.
having me, everybody. Kind of
100
excited.
degrees, so we're winning.
I just came back from, we just had our company's national conference in Isla Mirada, which is why pieces of my nose are like falling off as this video is running. I feel like a leper. It's like I'm scaling right now. And the reason I tell you that is because we had some pretty big conversations there about the real estate market and what's happening. It also gives us a great time to kind of take a poll because we had about 600 people there from all over North America. And they're kind of experiencing different things in different places and in different time zones. And I kind of, by the final day of the conference, we had did a big presentation on the state of the market. And I kind of wanted to go over that with you guys since it's so in flux since last. Anyway, I know we talked about that last time we talked, but things have changed quite a bit since then. And I want to make sure I address some of those things and leave you with some information and some materials that you can use with your people to kind of help educate them right now, because there's a lot of uncertainty. I've never seen so much confusion, I think is a way to put it. And the reason so I'm going to start by explaining it this way too. And I think this really helps. Or it's been helping at least. I've never really explained it this way before, but it's starting to really resonate with people. So I'm kind of rolling with it. So, you know, it's very hard in this day, and you hear about the age of fake news. You know, everybody's hearing a lot of bad reporting out there, and boy, I've seen that. Obviously, I've seen a lot of fake news, especially with the, you know, recent presidential elections and COVID and stuff like that. But now I'm seeing it get into like my wheelhouse, and that's unnerving, you know, because they're affecting, you know, my people's livelihoods, and that really, you know, that really starts, you know, it's a tone with me in a big way, because I can start messing up, you know, your clients and the decisions they make. And one of the big ones out there you're seeing, especially on news reports, especially irresponsible bloggers. That's what I don't like. It's these written articles that we keep seeing popping up on Google, getting shared all over social media, very irresponsible headlines that if you stop and read through the article, it says something totally different than what the headline's saying. And a lot of people just read the headlines. That is what it is. And I think a lot of it is whether the real estate market is good or bad. You know what I mean? And to me, I just, it's so confusing, because there really isn't just one real estate market. And that's what we have to understand. There really are two separate markets there. And almost all information, data, and studies is referring to one or the other. But of course, they blur them. And so when we talk about the real estate market, we talk about two things. Okay. And this is what you got to get, and you got to explain it this way to people. Trust me, it's working. They're either talking about home prices or they're talking about home sales. And those are two very different things. Now, there are times, and there has been recently, especially, that they've kind of gone together, but they don't always go together. Up until this year, there's been an increase in home sales right along with an increase in home prices. And it's kind of been going that way for a while, but that doesn't always go that way. You know, it just so happens. Now we're seeing something different, and people are confusing them. Home prices are still going up everywhere. Okay. And that's because home listings, or, you know, inventory and supply, is still going down everywhere. And when people refer to a housing bubble, that usually refers to home prices. At least that's my understanding and everything I've ever seen in the past. So there is no indication of anything close to a housing bubble, because we have no housing supply, which we know, economics 101, prices must go up when there's no supply. I don't even really care what happens with demand, and demand clearly is off the chain. Now, I will say we have seen a decrease in home sales in the month of April. January, February, and March were on par with last year. And last year, we've never had more home sales than we did in 2021. So that was the hottest year in history, despite the fact we had very low housing, record low housing or inventory, only eclipsed by the low inventory this year. So despite the fact we had no houses to sell, we still sold more homes magically than ever before. This year, it started the same way until interest rates went up. Interest rates went up, everybody gets spooked. Pretty logical what happens there, right? I don't want to list my house for sale. Why? Because I got a 3% interest rate. Why would I want to move into a 5.5% interest rate? So I don't want to list and I don't want to buy. You see a lot of that. That's always happened in the past. For those of you that didn't sell real estate before 2001, we dealt with this all the time. Rates went up and down in the 90s and the 80s. I mean, I'm aging myself a little bit, but unfortunately, I've been in this business about 34 years. So we're used to that. Now, though, we're not. We've had pretty low interest rates the whole time, the whole stretch. So when we see a jump like this, it tends to polarize people. They don't move. They don't know what to do. They panic. They read stupid blogs. They listen to fake news. And they hear people say that there's a shift happening in the market. Well, I guess there is. You know, we did see home sales slow down. We also saw inventory go down, but don't think that means a shift in home values. Remember, there's sales and prices, two different things. Be careful with your use and understanding of the word shift. It's a meteoric word. It could mean either one. I don't know which one you're talking about. When someone tells me what's going on with the market, my first question is, which one do you mean? Now, here's the deal. The public, the general public out there, Bob the fireman and his wife, Cindy, the teacher, they don't really care about home sales. That's your problem. They really just care about home values. I want to buy a house. Is it going up? Should I wait? Or is the value of my house going up? Should I wait? You know, what are we at there? That's what the public cares about. The people that care about home sales are us for our own livelihood. If home sales decrease, in theory, realtor commissions decrease. Market center profit share decreases. Everything goes down. Right? So we care. If sales increase, which I believe they will very shortly, if they're starting to already, seeing a lot of listings starting to hit the market again. You're seeing everybody get active. Everybody's kind of used to the new interest rates already. Just like people keep buying gas, people keep buying real estate. It's a necessity item. It's shelter. You're not going to do any better by renting. Those prices are pretty high too, you know. So all of a sudden, people have to have a roof over their head. So they keep buying. We've certainly seen investors keep buying. That's for darn sure. I mean, I think most of you saw Jeff Bezos last week. He said, forget it. I'm not going to the moon. I'm not going to be Elon Musk. I'm not buying Twitter. I'm not going to build a space shuttle. I'm starting a real estate fund to buy single family houses across the country for the next 10 years. Because of the extreme shortage, we believe values must skyrocket for the next decade. That's what Jeff Bezos said, and he's a pretty smart dude. So he started his own real estate investment company, probably take it public, and he's doing it. Just like Warren Buffett's doing it, Jamie Dimon's doing it, Chase is doing it, all the big hedge funds are doing it. They're not going to slow down because of interest rates. They know better. That does not impact demand. Nor did it impact demand in the 80s when we had 17% interest. Okay? So understand that. Just because sales are decreased does not mean prices will decrease. So be careful if you hear about bubble and shifting. The only data they're typically using is home sales, which does not directly impact prices. So when they say the bubble burst in the headline, or is the bubble bursting, the market's cooling, all of those things, you scroll down in the article and you'll see it's based on pending home sales. Well, that's not prices at all. We have to be able to educate our clients on this. So let me kind of show you what that looks like. This is what we're forecasting right now. And you can see annual home sales on this chart. Jay, can you see that yet?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So annual home sales going back to 1990, you can see they just have gone up. It's been awesome, right? And they went all the way up into that first housing boom of 2005. And then we had just, the Great Recession occurred. So home sales dipped down a little bit. They dipped down about 33% here, right? At the lows. And then they started to build up, and it's just been a wonderful, healthy market. From like 2013, they just kind of kept going up. You probably didn't even feel this, but this is 2000, 18 and 19 right here. There's a little bit of a dip, but we didn't really feel that. And then, everything started going up into 19, 2020, COVID hit, boom, boom, boom. And we set a record last year for the amount of home sales in America. Okay. Up in the 6.4 million homes sold in America range. This year, we're on pace to do about a 6 million, which you'll see is the third biggest year in the history of the country. So if we're going to say recession, shift, oh my gosh, this is a nightmare. I don't know how people are surviving in real estate. Understand we're on track to have the third best year in the history of the country for amount of home sales and sales volume. It could be a lot worse. We're just griping because it wasn't last year, which I get it. We felt that last year. That was kind of insane. It's hard to imagine that environment keeping up forever, but this isn't too far off. And same with, even the peak of the housing boom where everybody got super rich. I mean, we're even closer to that number. So the idea that it's going to be terrible for real estate agents is terrible. Now, I also want to explain to you the idea of a recession. Okay. Understand when recessions happen, if you guys are, clued into the stock market or CNBC right now, you'll see the Dow Jones Industrial's off a few thousand points. So the stock market's come down lately. Yeah, I guess that can hurt buyer demand a little bit because people, see their balance sheets go down and they don't want to invest in real estate, things like that. But at the same time, you also see people pull out of the stock market for something more secure like real estate. So that's usually a wash when that happens. That's why the stock market dips in the stock market typically do not impact home prices ever. Understand though what a recession is. A recession by definition is 2 consecutive quarters of decreasing gross domestic product, GDP. Okay? That means the production, output / sales of all the businesses in the United States added up together is the gross domestic product. It's what our country produced domestically here at home in the United States. Gross is we add them all up together. It's the sum of everything before expenses. That's the gross domestic product. It's got to decline 2 quarters in a row. So 6 total months of decline. Understand, we are coming off of a year of the highest gross domestic product for 4 consecutive quarters in the history of this country. We skyrocketed, set new GDP records last year. It's almost impossible for us not to have 2 quarters that decline. If you want to call that a recession, okay. I mean, I don't know if that's really a bad economy though, So understand, put everything in perspective. It's kind of hard to keep skyrocketing. There's got to be at least some slight correction. Okay? And here's the deal. It doesn't ever impact real estate anyway. All right. So some of you might have seen this in the Real Estate Agent Roundtable Facebook group. But here's a chart showing the last, 6 recessions. What happened to home prices going all the way back to 1980. So we're going back 50 years. The only time home prices went down was in the Great Recession, but understand that really wasn't because of a recession. You can see this note here. Actually, the decline in home prices happened and caused the recession. That's the only time we've seen a correlation there. It's when home prices went down, starting in June of 2006. They kept declining all the way to October of 2008. And then all the banks started collapsing and the stock market crashed. So we saw home prices decline for 1.5 years straight before the recession occurred. I mean, if you didn't see this one coming and you were in real estate, something's wrong. Jay, you remember this? It was like a whole bunch of stepping on the brakes for like 1.5 years. It was hard. slide
If
down.
you did, if you were in real estate and you didn't see it coming, you're not in real estate today.
Correct. Yeah, that's for darn sure. I mean, yeah, I don't even think you should be driving a car. I mean, that's, you know, there's a lot of things you shouldn't be doing, you know.
From
In the
creative.
past, they've never impacted it. We've always seen actually relatively pretty big price jumps. I think in like 1991, I don't know if you can really call that a recession, and the price drop accordingly was pretty nominal and it was pretty fast. Otherwise, we've seen prices healthily just kind of keep chugging along at a higher than average rate of appreciation for those years. Because a lot of people flee out of the stock market and jump into real estate like Jeff Bezos is doing, like Warren Buffett's doing, like Jamie Dimon, that's the owner of Chase. You know, like all those guys are doing, all the hedge funds are doing right now, all the, you know, everybody's jumping into real estate because it's safe. And it's a really smart investment because we don't have enough houses. So we know we're going to keep getting price appreciation for years to come. I don't know how we're going to get a lot of supply to stop it. So that, you know, investing in real estate is the way to go. Waiting is definitely not the thing. Waiting is not the thing. So it's very important we understand that. And we get that there's two different markets here. Yeah, we're slightly off a tick on home sales. And it feels like a lot of a tick because of April. April, I mean, there's no doubt about it. April was down 15% over last April. But there's two problems there. This April was right after a huge interest rate increase that was announced and then absorbed by mortgage rates. And last April skyrocketed. It was the biggest April, the biggest month for home sales that we've seen in, you know, probably the history of the country. So you put those two things together, it's a dramatic 15% decrease, crash in sales that's got lots of people saying shift, shift, shift. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what your definition of a shift is. It's kind of a loosely used term, but everything's changing and going down is not what's happening. If that makes sense. So we have to understand that, okay? I want to show you a couple things. I showed a couple of these last month. I just want to make sure you understand now that you kind of get that point of view. You can see here's an example of when interest rates rise, how it does not impact home prices over the course of the year. So rates will never, I mean, we're looking at going back to 71 to 74. You saw rates jump about 2.7%. Home prices went up 18%. I mean, this is a big one. This is probably the biggest hike ever. 77 and 1980, the Jimmy Carter years. Rates went from 8.7% to 16.3%. Home prices went up 50%. I mean, you talk about inflation. There was so much inflation. Ronald Reagan got 8 years in the presidency because of that. The cost of oil going up. It's very similar to what we're seeing right now with a Democratic president. Everything is going up. Inflation, prices, home appreciation, interest rates, everything. And then that led to the roaring 80s, where home prices just kept going up throughout the 80s. You can see here, the whole 80s, we had mortgage rates jumping up, jumping down, jumping all over the place. Prices just kept soaring. Everybody went crazy in the 80s. I mean, it was nuts. Miami Vice came out, you know, they were giving shit. What's that?
That's crazy, Miami Vice.
Yeah, it was nuts. It was like the time of excess was the 80s. And I mean, we were buying things, you know, buying houses with 17% loans. You know, it did not stop home prices, guys. I know people don't know that because if you haven't been in business over 20 years, you haven't seen interest rate increases. Well, it's never historically stopped anything. So don't think that's going to make prices go down. Show this to your home buyers. Because if they're waiting for prices to go down, the only thing they're really risking is mortgage rates going up higher and prices going up higher. There's no historical record of anything other than that occurring.
You know, Brian, I'll throw a quote in there from the Shift book that Gary wrote, and that is that the willingness lives in a consumer's expectation.
That's
Notice
right.
he didn't say reality. And if you're not the economist of choice that can show the reality to the buyers and sellers, then you will never be able to adjust their emotional desire to either get in, get out, sell, buy, whatever it is. You've got, but you can let these numbers do the heavy lifting.
That's right. And show, don't tell.
Yeah, and you know, we talk about, okay, a shift and there's no inventory, and yet the statement that you made was we sold more real estate than ever before. So let's take a look at a market, you know, a traditional market. Let's go back to, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, before COVID. We in our county, San Luis County, if you were using national numbers, I want to get a little more granular. We had 1,000 properties on the market for sale on average, 1,000, 1,100 properties. The days on the market were 45. Today, we have 350 properties on the market. The average day on the market is 10.
Yeah.
So we're going through new 350 properties every 10 days, which is 1,200 properties a month.
There's still inventory. They're just moving.
More, yeah, but that's our county. So I want to bring it all the way home.
Yeah.
More properties are closing escrow every single month now than they were in a traditional market when we had 1,100 properties on the market that sold every 45 days. So I just want to bring your point home to the fact that to our county locally,
It's like turnover. It's just high turnover.
I know a lot of people are like, yeah, those are national numbers. Yeah, we don't need to see those. They don't apply to us. We're special. We're different. We've got our microclimates.
Oh, you guys are. You are special. Each and every one of you.
But I'm telling you, our specialty is the fact that we've got a desirable area that wants to come to, and that the results for what Brian's talking about are exactly the same.
That's right. It really is. We're a microcosm of that, to be perfectly honest with you. And that's a great way to put it. I mean, we're just churning sales a lot faster, which means more commission dollars are being earned. It's not slowing down. It's not a tough time to be in real estate. It's never been more of a lucrative time. We're never seeing, I mean, maybe other than last year, slightly more commission dollars being earned, but I don't know. I don't know how the year's going to finish. We might have some making up to do. There's a part of me that wants to predict this, and I'm going to say it just because I want you to think I said it, but I'm not predicting this, but there's a good chance it happens. 2 years ago, COVID broke out everywhere, right? And we all had to stay in our houses. Like we couldn't even leave our house to like get food or whatever for like 45, 60 days. Remember that? The first 60 days was like freaky as hell. Like it was like outbreak. You thought you had like flesh eating disease if you like stepped outside and the sun hit your skin. And so we couldn't sell anything. And there were like no sales. Sales just fell off the map, we couldn't even get things closed because we couldn't do inspections. Like it was terrible. So for that first 60 days, it was just terrible. But then what happened? So we lost our spring. There was like no April or May. Like we had no sales that year. But what happened? Right after that, when they said it was safe to go outside, we just don't want you to that much. We got crazy. And what happened is we sold so much in June, July, August, September. It actually went into freaking October. Like our harvest season, our busy season was extended, and we finished the year with a record number of sales, despite completely losing our April and May. Well, interest rates are kind of doing the same thing. Interest rates go up. Everybody's like, what does that mean? Is the world ending? So everybody stops and doesn't do anything. I don't want to list my house. I don't want to buy a house. I'm not sure. Should I be just kind of circling the wagons right now? I don't know what to do. Well, now people are creeping out outside saying, okay, everything's going to be okay. Jeff Bezos is still buying. I just saw my neighbor's house sold for a higher price. That may happen. We might set records with the end of the year. So we might see sales volume eclipse last year. It is possible. So we may not even go down in home sales. I know prices are going up. We don't have to even guess about that one. That one's almost a physical impossibility for prices to go down. Sales going down may not happen. It may not. Right now, we're a tick behind because of a bad April. But hey, we'll see what happens. We might have some making up to do.
Ryan, you, as always, man, a wealth of information. Can you share those the pictographs that you had?
I'm doing it.
That'd be awesome. And for those that might have interest, page 180 and 181 of the book Shift, I brought a copy of it. If you need a copy, I have a couple. There's a couple in the library here you can check out. What I love about the book is it talks about a lot of the things Brian's talking about. It's talking about a shift, like primarily buyer's market to seller's market. We're not shifting from a seller's market to a buyer's market. But so many of the things that Brian talked about today are actually written in there and discussed. You just have to make sure your paradigm is that, okay, we're not shifting from a seller's market to a buyer's market. That's not the shift we're talking about. We're talking about a different type of shift, and that is, inventory and the frequency in which it turns and prices going up. What does that mean?
But you have to have different conversations, guys. And if you're frustrated because your clients don't know what's in your head, we really got to work on your communication skills, because that's on you, man. It really is. We have got to do a better job of explaining and showing and educating our people. The doctor that can't get its patients to quit smoking is not successful in their role as a doctor. We can't just blame the patient. We have to communicate.
Cool. Brian, thanks again for being here. You're an amazing asset to the team. We're glad you're part of it. If you guys don't know, Brian's also here on Tuesdays. He does a mastermind session at 1 o'clock. Dial into that and just increase your.
Yeah. Let me pimp that. This next Tuesday, you got to get on there, because I've been talking about negotiations and how to negotiate a lot. This Tuesday is the best session on negotiating. I'm going to actually show you 2 negotiating models that you can use that I guarantee you, if you tune in for that, you will use one of them going forward, and you will be able to demonstrate how you're using a negotiating offer, counter offer, back and forth technique to your clients. And they will love you for it. And they will actually do what you say with regards to how much to counter, how much not to counter. And they will refer you to your friends and look at you as an expert at negotiation. So please tune into that one. You will love this coming Tuesday. Thanks, Jay. Sorry,
Cool.
I'm gone.
Dude, don't be. Tuesday at 1.
Tuesday at
Thanks,
1.
Brian.
You bet.
As always. Okay. All right, gang. And we've got I want to share some of the coming soons. We've got a new Facebook group that we started that is basically listing. So we've got this huge birth. We're outperforming the MLS and listings taken by 90%. Why aren't we then exposing those to the people in our own group, our own family, where we have over 75,000 consumers? We have a really good cross section, so you guys can get prepped up for when the properties come to market, your clients get the first crack at it. So if you have listings coming soon, we're pulling through the MLS. They're written on the board here. Marissa's got an inventory of everything that we're featuring it every week. But we need to get it on that Facebook page so that your Keller Williams Associates can get first crack at getting their buyers teed up, so that you can get the highest and best offer for your seller. But we need you to participate. We've got Jacob Gale's got a property in Lompoc on Cypress there, a 2-bed, 1-bath. Brian Lepon has got a property in Santa Maria, a 2-2 that's coming on the market for 199 grand. Holy smokes, manufactured. Where do you see a price like that? So we've got all kinds. I know Rick's got something coming up. It isn't showing there, but I think that's the California Valley property. Are you with us, Rick? You want to talk a little bit about that? Tell us what.
Yeah, we've got all the inspections. There's a great well inspection. There's a great septic inspection. We had a home inspection that showed a couple items that we've got repaired, and all those reports will be on the listing here within the next day or two, along with more pictures. We've had it professionally cleaned, and for that price, it's you might be worth the drive.
Cool. All right, that's in the California Valley. Right on. I know Abel's got a property, that Emerald Court, that's Abel's. It's a 2.5, 2.5 bath, 699. Again, we can market these properties to our agents. And so when you're on a listing presentation, so you can tell your clients that, hey, we post it coming soon. We can also market to the agents in our brokerage. We have over 235 agents with, again, over 75,000 consumers that can get a good look at what's done, the photographs, the coming soons, prep their buyers up, so we're getting the highest and best offer. That's something that you get to talk to your buyers, your sellers about, that no other company in the county can do. Number one, they don't have the size, they don't have as many listings, they're not closing as many deals as we are, and they don't have the databases that we do. So no, this is a huge power play for you when you're talking about getting listings. Mark's got a great property coming soon. Holy smokes, it's almost $4 million bucks. So contact him. There's all kinds of incredible pieces to that piece of property, very specific and unique. And I know Jeff's got one too on Blackberry that's a little over $1 million bucks. So Blackberry Lane, you've got clients looking in the I think that's the Berry Gardens area. You've got a potential opportunity to get them teed up and ready to go. Find out, call the listing agent, find out what the buyers, their sellers really look for. Are they looking for highest and best price? They're looking for time in the house. They need to store stuff in the garage for a couple of weeks after the close because they're moving out of state and movers aren't going to get there. Make the calls. So coming soon is a powerful tool, and look to the private Facebook group. Is there anybody else here that wanted to talk about or share with coming soons? I knew Rick was going to be here today.
Hey, Jay, can you hear me?
Yeah, Mark. Oh, awesome, dude. Thoughts
Yeah, you know,
this property in the Falcon Ridge.
Yeah, I'm actually out here right now. I was doing some things out here, so I tuned in real quick with this. But here's a quick view of kind of what you're looking at this property. I don't know if it's too bright or if you can see it.
Yeah, looks great.
But there's that. Here's the additional unit over here. It has the slate tile roof on the entire house. It has lots of upgrades, lots of waterfalls. The inside's immaculate. 3-car garage, fountains. They've really done this house really nice. So if anybody has any questions, it's 6,000 square foot. Complete ocean view out the other side. So give me a call and I'll answer any questions. And it should be going live probably Friday. If anybody is ready to show, if anybody wants to set up any appointments. So we're good to go.
Wow, the places. I've stayed at hotels smaller than that. Gorgeous, Mark. Thanks for sharing. Wow.
Hey, thank you, Jay.
All right, gang. That about does it for today's meeting. Again, know that you can get to all of us, all these links through the KW calendar, Facebook pages, Instagram, and look to our private Facebook page for the coming soons, guys. We appreciate you all being here, and I look forward to seeing you guys in and about and around the office. Thanks for playing.
Thanks, Jay.
Make it a great day.